It's Wednesday, April the 4th. Lake level's at 917. It's been coming down about 6 inches a day. They still got floodgates open. I don't know when they're going to slow the water flow down. Probably when they get it down, another couple feet. But it's been up as high as like 921, which was, 6 feet high. But it's just 2 feet over normal right now. But before I get started, I'd like to give a shout out to the St. Gerard Magella Hunt Club. That was a mouthful. They're coming down to fish a tournament, a group of guys, so good luck to them. But the fishing's been really good. Fish are really moving up. Water temperature's kind of all over the place. It depends where you're at. Yesterday I was up in the stained water in the Upper James. It was 60 degrees in the morning, and it warmed up to about 64 degrees. Today it was about 55, 56 degrees. I was in the Clearwater. I fished down in the dam area, but it's kind of crazy, the weather. I got up this morning, it was like 73 degrees, put shorts and sandals on. A little front came through, and by 8:30, 9 o'clock, it was 43 degrees with the wind blowing 20 miles an hour. So we've had a lot of kind of crazy wind, up and down temperature. But it looks like the next week, for the most part, is going to be pretty warm and kind of all over the lake. I'm seeing them fish moving up. I haven't seen any on beds. A lot of the areas I've been fishing, the water's been pretty stained, but it's warm enough. And with the full moon we had last night, I'm sure there's some fish in the warmer, in the upper rivers where the water's warmer. There's already some fish up there on beds. I've seen several cruising around in the clear water today up there shallow. But they've really moved up. I've been all over the lake the last week or so. I mean, seems like Baxter to Shell Knob has probably been one of the best areas as far as numbers of fish and keepers. And a lot of them fish are shallow, 2 to 10 feet deep, and they're out there on these main lake, flat gravel points. I haven't really caught them in there real good yet where they're going in there to spawn, but they're right at the points and inside the points, and several different ways I've been catching them. Little swim bait's been good, a little underspin. They're biting a Ned rig good. On the Ned rig, I've been throwing a 5-fish lures ultimate Ned head jig with a, usually depends on the wind, but a 3/16 or 1/8 ounce, and I've been using like a Strike King Zero. One of them stretchy baits. You put a little dab of super glue on there and it'll stay on there all day. Another one I've been throwing on the Ned rig. It's a pretty neat little bait. Same head, but what this is, it's a big bite sensation. It's got a little, it looks like a little crawdad, but it comes about a 5-inch bait, and you can just kind of pinch it down to whatever size that you want. But this has been working really good, and I don't know what's on these big bite sensation lures, but they really hold on good to fish. But in some areas you'll run into slime, little 2.8 and 3.3 swim baits working in the same areas, as is a little underspin. Like I said, the bottom's got some slime on it in some places, but then you'll fish the point just across from where you're fishing, and everything will be clean. So you just got to kind of move around. The worst slime seems to be, the clearer the water, the worse the slime is. But in stained water, last week I was catching them on a spinnerbait and a chatterbait. That seems like it's kind of slowed off for me. I can catch some early on it in the first hour or so, and then it seems like I've got to go to a different bait. But probably the number one bait has been a crankbait. And up in the dirty water, the reds and browns are working all over. I've been catching them on a rock crawler, either the 50 or the DD 50 or the regular 55. But this Delta Craw has really been a hot color for me in the stained water. Now today we was down in the clear water, and this like a Phantom Brown or the Phantom Watermelon. It seems like in that clear water, almost like a translucent bait with some colors working better than the solid color that's in the off-colored water. Just so many different ways to catch them now that the fish are starting to move up. I've also been catching some on a wobblehead. You know, like throwing like a biffle bug, or I've been throwing a big bite wobblehead. It's got a Gamakatsu hook in it, a real good hook. But I've been using a lot of different baits. I've been using like a big bite kamikaze craw. This is a Strike King structure bug, a Zoom speed craw. It's a lot of different baits that'll work, like a twin tail chompers, anything with looks like a crawdad I think will work on the wobblehead. And I'm fishing this in the same areas that I'm fishing a crankbait. And a lot of times, instead of fishing it like a jig, I'm just casting it out and keeping it on contact with the bottom, keeping it moving. But I think next week, you know, we're probably not going to see a big, huge push from fish to the beds, I think, until we get this new moon, or the newest full moon. But with the water temperatures going to climb like they are next week, we'll see a lot of fish starting to make beds. But I think the big majority of them will still be, you know, a couple weeks away. But it's kind of a fun time right now, because you can come out and catch a lot of fish, and some good fish too. I mean, it's still taking, you know, 20 pounds in the tournaments. I think a buddy of mine Sunday had almost 25 pounds, 5 fish. So there's some big ones moving up, and there's still not all the fish are shallow. I'm sure you can still catch some out there deep, but where I've been fishing deep for the majority of the winter, it's kind of nice to get up in there shallow and consistently catch them. And I think that's going to be really strong for the next 3 to 4 weeks. You know, the Ned rig, swim bait, a lot of the small finesse baits. And you could throw the bigger baits like this here, like that wobblehead, but it seems like if it gets a little tougher or slicks off where there's no wind, pick up that light line and you know, throw a Ned rig, a little underspin or swim bait, and you'll catch a lot of fish. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.